Welcome to Fake Love and Flying Monkeys, the podcast where fake love is exposed. I'm Nova Gibson and I am your host. I'm the principal counsellor at Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling.com.au. This space is dedicated to helping you reclaim your worth and understand the impact of toxic relationships with suspected narcissists. You deserve clarity, healing, and freedom from the pain of fake love and flying monkeys. So please leave a review and grab a copy of my book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. Let's uncover the truth and take back your power. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. So you have been through absolute hell with that narcissist. Maybe it was a romantic relationship, maybe even your family, or maybe it was a colleague or a horrible, toxic boss at work. And now you're left sitting there in the rubble, just wondering why does it feel like they've come out on top and I'm the one who's sitting here who's just lost everything? Well, guys, if you're feeling like this, you are not alone. This is one of the most common and honestly really, really painful feelings survivors of narcissistic abuse go through. The narcissist, seems fine, thriving even. They're off with the new soulmate, or they're just posting happy snaps, doing the family gatherings, and here you are feeling like you have just lost your entire world. You're the one who is barely holding it all together. They've moved on. They've turned people against you with that smear campaign, and somehow they still look like the good guy. It is so frustrating. It's unfair, and it messes with your head. Let's talk about why it feels like the narcissist won and what's really going on behind that shiny surface that they're showing the rest of the world. So narcissists, they care more about how things look than how things actually are. They're all about their image and their reputation. That's one of the biggest mind games in the whole experience. To everyone else, they may appear calm, confident, successful, loved, or even healing after they've been put through whatever they've told everyone else that you put them through. Meanwhile, you're lying there awake at 2 a.m. replaying the entire relationship like this horror movie. So yes, it looks like they're winning. But here's the truth, guys. Narcissists aren't interested in growth, healing, or accountability. They're interested in control and admiration. If they can look like they're doing better than you, then that's a win. That's a huge win for them, but it's all optics. You, on the other hand, you're trying to heal, to make sense of things, to get answers, and it feels like you've been emotionally hit by a truck while they just walk away without a scratch. So let's get into some core reasons it feels this way for you. Well, to begin with, they seem totally unbothered. You're sobbing in the shower, you're barely functioning at work, and you're perhaps questioning your sanity. Meanwhile, they're off at barbecues, smiling in selfies, or off on a holiday with someone new. You're spiraling, and they're posting motivational quotes on Instagram. Because they're not showing their pain, guys, it feels like they've won. They look like they've moved on and are even thriving. It feels like the connection with you meant absolutely nothing to them. And really, guys, you didn't in any true emotional capacity, because narcissists don't love, they attach like a flea to a dog. And when they're done soaking up all of your goodness, they drop off and they find another host. And of course, that smear campaign they all engage in makes your pain even worse. While you're quietly trying to process what just happened, they're already in spin mode. Before you even know it hit you, mutual friends, colleagues, or even your own family members are like giving you that side eye. The narcissist has twisted the story and painted themselves as the victim, and you're suddenly the abuser. They flipped that old script and you're the unstable one. And in this situation, it feels like they won because they got ahead of the truth. People you trusted are believing them. Your reputation is taking a hit, and worse, no one seems to see or care about how much pain you're in. And if the narcissist in your life was an intimate partner, there's the fact that they moved on at lightning speed. You're still trying to remember how to breathe, and they're already in a new relationship. They're posting those happy couple photos with the new soulmate. They're talking not just about how happy they are, but how blissfully happy. And you're there wondering if anything you had with them was real. How could they move on so fast? And it feels like they've won because they're already loved up, in inverted commas, with someone else. It looks like they've found the one, while you're picking up the pieces and feeling like you never mattered to this person. And of course, they've conditioned you to believe that everything that was wrong in that relationship was your fault. But guys, please know that that new person, they were likely already being groomed while you were still together. Narcissists don't sit with their emotions. They don't have normal emotions like you and I do. They can't. They need constant validation and attention to feel okay. That new partner is not someone they love. It's someone they're using to refill that old ego tank of theirs. And honestly, it's not a relationship. It is just a repeat, the same cycle all over again. The new person just doesn't know it yet because they haven't yet been abused. You're not being replaced. You're being escaped. And that is a big difference. And you're stuck with all the trauma. This one's big. You're the one who's left with the anxiety, the flashbacks, the self-doubt, the panic attacks, the self-trust issues. And somehow it's on you to heal. They're not apologizing. They're not taking responsibility. They've left the emotional wreckage behind like it's your problem now. And it feels like they've won, guys, because they caused the damage. And now you're the one in therapy doing all the hard work to recover. And it's lonely. It's draining. And it feels like you're being punished for loving someone who just couldn't, didn't want to, did not have the capacity to love you back in a healthy way that you deserved. So here's a couple of examples, guys. Now, I wanted to step outside of the romantic relationship, which we tend to focus more on. So this example is about the narcissistic parent. So you finally go low or no contact with a parent who's always used guilt, control, obligation, basically emotional blackmail for years. You tried to set boundaries and now you're being painted as that ungrateful child. Your siblings or other relatives are being manipulated. You feel so alone. You feel misunderstood. But setting those boundaries, that's the bravest thing you've ever done. You're not rejecting family. You're protecting your mental health. That's not selfish. That's self-care. And the impact you're having on future generations, your own kids, your future relationships, that's huge. That is legacy level healing. Now, this next example relates to a narcissistic boss. So you have this boss who is just so horrible, who constantly takes credit for your work. They gaslight you in meetings. They subtly push you out. You finally left burnt out, disillusioned, and just full of self-doubt. But guess what? They're still there, still getting praise, maybe even promoted. And you feel like you've lost everything and they're still winning. But the truth, guys, is that their behavior creates toxic environments, high turnover. It's all about money, low morale, but people talk, patterns emerge. You might not see it now, but the damage they're causing, that will catch up with them one day. But you've got your integrity and your peace, and that is something that they will never have. So in both of these examples, it looks like the narcissist won, but in the end, you are going to be the one who is free, at peace with yourself, and away from that toxic relationship that just gets worse and spreads like a virus over time with other victims. Now let's take an even deeper dive into what winning actually looks like. What if winning is about sleeping peacefully at night? How wonderful will that be? Especially when your narcissistic ex is out there trying to fill the void by sleeping with anything that has two legs and a heartbeat. Meanwhile, you're cuddled up with your dignity, boundaries, and maybe even a weighted blanket. What if real winning is not walking on eggshells anymore? What if real winning is setting boundaries and actually enforcing them, or building relationships, healthy relationships where you feel seen, heard, and safe? What if it's living a life where you don't need to prove anything to anyone? That's what you're working toward. That's what all this hard, painful, unfortunately, healing leads to. So, did they really win? Nope. They just made it look that way. But behind the facade, guys, is someone who is still emotionally immature, insecure, and constantly seeking approval from others to feel okay about themselves. You're not behind. You're just playing a completely different game. I know it hurts. I know it feels like they just skipped away without consequences while you're left doing all the emotional heavy lifting. But that doesn't mean they won. They didn't win. They avoided, they blamed, and they repeated, they distracted everyone. You're learning, you're growing, you're healing. You're doing the thing they can't. And that is the most powerful comeback there is. And in the end, guys, you don't lose to the narcissist. You outgrow them. That's not losing. That's leveling up. And that brings us to the end of another Fake Love and Flying Monkeys episode. Yes, you're not losing, guys. Please remember that, because you're upset. Don't believe what you're seeing. It's propaganda. You're grieving. And that means you had depth, care, empathy, and a real emotional connection. That's something to be proud of, not ashamed of. Now, if you're going through your own narcissistic abuse recovery, or you're just wanting some answers around your toxic relationship, please just see my website link in the description to book a one-on-one Zoom counseling session with me, where you'll also find a link to order your copy of my best-selling book, Fake Love, which will be so helpful for you. On that note, guys, it's bye from me for now. Until tomorrow's episode, remember, you are worthy of love, and you are worthy of so much more than a lifetime of fake love and flying monkeys.